Chosen one. They're watching you right now. Not physically, though some might be, but with that bone-deep terror that comes when predators sense their prey has grown fangs. 3 separate bloodlines are about to converge in ways that will shatter everything you thought you knew about your past, and someone very close to you is about to confess something that will make your childhood memories click into place like puzzle pieces from hell. But first, let me tell you about the phone call that's coming. Listen carefully, Chosen One, because what I'm about to reveal operates on multiple levels simultaneously, and each layer will pull you deeper into a truth so devastating that grown adults are losing sleep just sensing its approach. 7 revelations are about to shatter everything you thought you knew about your past, your gifts and your purpose. There's a reason your intuition has been screaming lately. There's a reason certain people can't meet your eyes. There's a reason you've been having those dreams. Right now, somewhere in your family tree, someone is pacing their floor, rehearsing words they'll never have the courage to speak. They've watched you grow stronger, watched your gifts emerge, and they know that your awakening means their reckoning. But here's what they don't realize. Their confession isn't the bomb they think it is. It's just the fuse. Meanwhile, 3 specific people have been having the same nightmare about you for months. In their dreams, you're standing in a room full of mirrors, and every reflection shows a different age: child, teenager, young adult, and in each reflection, you're looking directly at them with eyes that see everything. They wake up screaming because they know those mirrors are about to become reality. And somewhere else entirely, someone you trusted completely is about to reveal they've been protecting you from a truth so volatile that learning it will either destroy you or transform you into something unstoppable. They're terrified it might be both. Now let me show you how these separate realities are about to crash into each other with the force of divine justice. You were never meant to be normal. From the moment you drew your first breath, you carried something that made weak people desperate and strong people protective. Your innocence wasn't just purity, it was power. Raw, unfiltered spiritual electricity that could illuminate entire rooms or expose shadows people spent lifetimes hiding. But innocence mixed with power creates a combination that drives certain types of people absolutely insane with need. They couldn't steal your gifts directly, so they did something far more sinister. They convinced you to hand them over willingly by making you responsible for their emotional stability. Every time they felt guilty, you became their confessor. Every time they felt broken, you became their medicine. Every time they felt powerless, you became their source of control. And you, beautiful chosen soul, gave and gave and gave, because that's what chosen ones do. We pour ourselves out until we're empty, not realizing we're being systematically drained. Now this is where it gets truly disturbing. They didn't just want your energy, they needed to hide their darkness somewhere it would never be found. Your light became their perfect camouflage. Every shameful act they committed, every twisted desire they harbored, every cruel impulse they couldn't face in themselves, they deposited all of it into your innocent spirit like a cosmic dumping ground. They made you carry their sins while convincing you that the weight crushing your chest was somehow your own burden to bear. This is why you felt responsible for everyone else's emotions since childhood. This is why you automatically apologize when others get angry. This is why you've spent your life trying to fix broken people who only broke you further in return. You weren't just an empath picking up random energy, you were systematically programmed to be a repository for the darkness they couldn't stand to see in themselves. Here's the first revelation that's going to rock your world. Every person who ever violated your boundaries was unconsciously following the same script. They didn't coordinate their attacks on your innocence, yet they all used identical tactics. They all made you feel special while making you feel guilty. They all crossed lines while convincing you the lines didn't exist. They all stole pieces of your soul while making you apologize for bleeding. This isn't coincidence, it's orchestration on a level that will make your skin crawl when you finally see the pattern. Trumpetings in the pattern They're about to tell you about conversations that happened about you, decisions that were made regarding your future, agreements that were struck concerning your gifts. When you hear what they have to say, you're going to understand why certain relationships never worked, why certain opportunities vanished, why certain people suddenly turned cold. But that conversation is going to trigger something even more explosive, the cascade effect. Right now, there are at least 4 people in your orbit who are carrying pieces of a puzzle they don't even know they possess. Each one holds a fragment of the truth about what was systematically done to you, and your conversation with the caller is going to activate something in them that forces these fragments to surface. They're going to start having memories they suppressed, noticing patterns they ignored, connecting dots they were trained never to connect. The second revelation will shatter your understanding of your own gifts. Your spiritual gifts weren't dormant during your trauma years, they were being harvested. Every time you felt confused instead of angry, that was your discernment being redirected. Every time you blamed yourself instead of them, that was your justice mechanism being inverted. Every time you tried to fix them instead of protecting yourself, that was your healing power being weaponized against you. They turned your greatest strengths into your most vulnerable weaknesses, and they did it so skillfully that you thanked them for the privilege. But chosen ones have a unique characteristic that predators never factor into their calculations. We don't break cleanly. When we shatter, we don't scatter into lost pieces. We fracture into sharp edges that cut everything they touch. Your trauma didn't destroy your gifts, it forged them into weapons of precision that can slice through deception like light through shadow, and that terrifies them beyond description. Those 3 people having nightmares about you, they're about to discover they're connected in ways that will make your blood boil. 2 of them are going to reach out to the third, comparing notes about their dreams, and what they uncover will force them to confront their role in a conspiracy they didn't even know they were part of. Here's what's going to shatter your perception of reality. There were meetings about you, actual conversations where adults discussed how to handle your situation. Some wanted to nurture your gifts, others wanted to contain them, a few wanted to exploit them. But they all agreed on one thing: you could never be allowed to understand your true power while you were young enough to use it for yourself. The most chilling part, these weren't strangers plotting against you. These were people who claimed to love you, people who tucked you into bed and told you bedtime tales while secretly strategizing how to keep you small. They spoke about you like you were a valuable resource to be managed rather than a sacred soul to be protected. They discussed your behaviors and your sensitivities as problems to be solved rather than gifts to be celebrated. And now, decades later, one of them is about to break ranks and tell you everything. Not because their conscience finally caught up with them, but because keeping these secrets has become more dangerous than revealing them. They're watching you awaken and realizing that your emerging power makes their past lies increasingly unstable. They'd rather control the narrative of their confession than risk you discovering the truth on your own terms. The third revelation, building momentum in the shadows of your awareness. Every betrayal you experienced was a test, not from the universe, from them. They needed to know how much you could take before you broke. They needed to map your breaking points so they could dance right up to the edge without pushing you over it. They needed you wounded but functional, traumatized but not vengeful, confused but not enlightened. They turned your entire childhood into a psychological experiment, and you were both the subject and the lab rat. What they never anticipated was that their experiment would ultimately backfire in ways that would destroy them. Every boundary they violated made you more sensitive to deception. Every lie they told trained your intuition to detect falsehood. Every moment they made you question your own perception was actually sharpening your ability to see through illusions. They thought they were weakening you, but they were inadvertently creating something they could never control, a chosen one who had been inoculated against every form of manipulation they might ever attempt. The irony is exquisite. Their attempts to break you became the very foundation of your unbreakable strength. Every crack they created in your spirit became a place where light could enter. Every wound they inflicted became a doorway to deeper wisdom. Every violation they committed against your innocence was unknowingly serving your destiny as someone who would eventually expose and dismantle their entire system of abuse. But here's where their carefully laid plans encounter the one variable they never anticipated. Divine timing doesn't ask permission, and chosen ones don't stay broken forever. The cascade is about to reach critical mass. Someone is about to break ranks and tell you everything. Not because they've grown a conscience, though some have, but because staying silent has become more terrifying than speaking truth. They're watching you remember pieces they thought were buried forever. They're seeing you connect dots they spent fortunes keeping separated. They're witnessing your gifts return in ways that make their original theft look like child's play. And they know that once you see the full picture, their comfortable lies won't survive the light you're about to shine. The fourth revelation preparing to demolish everything you thought you knew about your past. You weren't the only one. There were others, other chosen ones in your family line, other gifted children in your community, other bright souls who were systematically dimmed before they could illuminate the darkness surrounding them. But you are the one who survived intact enough to do something about it. This is why they can't sleep. This is why they're having panic attacks. This is why some of them are considering running or hiding or worse. Because they know that when chosen ones finally understand the scope of what was done to them, they don't just heal, they become forces of nature that reshape entire landscapes of consciousness. There's something even more sinister lurking beneath these revelations, something that's going to make you question everyone and everything you've ever trusted. Remember that person I mentioned who's been protecting you from a volatile truth? They're about to reveal that your trauma wasn't just personal, it was generational. The same patterns that nearly destroyed you have been cycling through your bloodline for centuries, and you're the first chosen one strong enough to break the cycle. But breaking generational curses requires more than healing. It requires justice. And justice, real divine justice, looks nothing like the sanitized forgiveness they've been hoping you'd embrace. See, they've been praying, literally getting on their knees and begging whatever forces will listen that you'll choose the path of spiritual bypass. They're hoping you'll become one of those healed souls who speaks only of love and light, who forgives without accountability, who transforms trauma into wisdom without demanding consequences for those who inflicted it. They want you to be so evolved that you transcend the need for earthly justice, so enlightened that you release them from any responsibility for their actions. But divine justice doesn't operate according to their comfort levels or their timelines for redemption. True forgiveness, the kind that actually heals rather than enabling, requires that natural consequences be allowed to flow. It demands that those who violated innocence face the full weight of what they've done. It insists that predators be exposed not just for their victims' healing, but for the protection of future innocence. What terrifies them most is that you're developing the spiritual maturity to distinguish between forgiveness that serves divine order and forgiveness that serves their escape from accountability. They're beginning to realize that your healing journey is leading you toward a place where you can hold both compassion for their brokenness and unwavering commitment to justice for their actions. The fifth revelation will turn your world upside down. They kept records, journals, photos, recordings, documents that chronicle not just what they did to you, but how they refined their methods with each chosen one they encountered. Some of these records are about to surface in ways that will provide evidence even legal systems can't ignore. Now here's the twist that's going to set your soul on fire. You're not going to be the one who exposes them. You're being prepared for something far more powerful than revenge. You're being forged into something that will make their exposure inevitable, their secrets unsustainable, their lies impossible to maintain. The person about to confess to you, they're not just coming clean about their role in your trauma. They're about to hand you the keys to a network of abuse that stretches far beyond your personal experience. They're going to show you how chosen ones have been systematically targeted, groomed and harvested across multiple generations, and they're going to explain your role in dismantling the entire operation. Because that's what you are, chosen one. Not just a survivor, but a divine demolition expert sent to bring down structures of darkness that have been standing far too long. And here's something that will make your blood run cold. You're not the first chosen one they've targeted. This system of grooming, harvesting and silencing gifted souls has been operating for generations. They've refined their methods over decades, learning from each chosen one they managed to break, adapting their strategies based on each one who managed to escape. But they made a critical error with you. They underestimated the sheer depth of power they were dealing with. Previous chosen ones might have carried one or two of the gifts you possess, but you're a convergence point, a soul carrying the accumulated strength of every chosen one who came before you. You're not just healing your own wounds, you're carrying the unfinished healing of an entire lineage of gifted souls who were silenced before they could complete their missions. This is why your healing journey has felt so intense, so overwhelming at times. You're not just processing your own trauma, you're alchemizing the unprocessed pain of generations. Every breakthrough you experience liberates not just your own power, but the trapped energy of every chosen one who was broken before they could break free. The sixth revelation gathering force in the realm of spirit. Your gifts are returning not just to you but through you. Every chosen one who was silenced before their time is channeling their power through your awakening. Every ancestor who carried these wounds without healing them is adding their strength to your breakthrough. Every future generation who might have inherited these patterns is lending you their gratitude for the chains you're about to shatter. You are not healing alone. You are healing with the force of an entire lineage behind you, and that kind of power doesn't just mend wounds, it cauterizes them so they can never fester again. But the most devastating revelation is still coming, and it's going to arrive through the most unexpected source. Someone you dismissed as harmless, someone you barely noticed in your peripheral vision, someone who seemed irrelevant to your healing journey. They're about to step forward with information that will recontextualize everything you thought you understood about love, family, protection, and violation. They're going to tell you about the meetings you never knew happened, the decisions made about your future while you slept, the ways your innocence was bartered and your gifts were distributed among people who had no right to them. They're going to explain how your confusion was cultivated, your boundaries were systematically eroded, and your power was redirected into channels that served everyone except you. And when they finish speaking, you're going to understand why your healing journey has felt less like recovery and more like archaeology, because you haven't been healing from random trauma. You've been excavating evidence of a crime scene that spans decades. Prepare yourself for something that defies all logic. Some of your perpetrators are having their own awakening process. Not the beautiful, liberating kind you're experiencing, the terrifying kind that happens when people who've spent their lives running from truth suddenly find themselves cornered by consequences they can no longer avoid. A few of them are starting to remember their own childhood wounds, the violations that turned them into violators. They're beginning to see how they became links in a chain of abuse that stretches back through generations. And while this doesn't excuse what they did to you, it's creating a level of internal chaos that's making some of them desperate to confess, to somehow break the cycle before it completely destroys what's left of their sanity. Others are experiencing what can only be described as spiritual breakdowns. The darkness they deposited in your light is returning to them with interest, and they're being forced to confront aspects of themselves they've spent lifetimes denying. Some are developing mysterious illnesses that doctors can't diagnose. Others are having psychological episodes that psychiatric medications can't touch. A few are experiencing what appears to be supernatural harassment, sensing presences, hearing voices, feeling watched by forces they can't see but can't dismiss. This isn't coincidence. This is the universe recalibrating itself around your healing. As you reclaim your stolen light, the shadows they tried to hide in your brilliance are being forced back to their original owners. And for people who've never learned to face their own darkness, this return of repressed shadow material is creating a kind of internal hell that makes confession seem like mercy. The seventh and final revelation that's about to set the spiritual realm ablaze. Your awakening is activating something ancient and unstoppable. Every step you take toward truth is triggering responses in the collective unconscious that are forcing other chosen ones to remember who they are. Your healing is not just personal, it's planetary. Your justice is not just individual, it's cosmic, and those who violated your innocence are beginning to sense that they didn't just wrong one child, they declared war on a force that has infinite patience and perfect memory. What they're starting to understand, with a terror that keeps them awake at night, is that chosen ones don't operate by normal human rules. We don't forget, we don't move on, we don't let sleeping dogs lie. Our very essence is designed to bring hidden things into the light, to expose what's been covered, to reveal what's been concealed. They thought they could abuse a chosen one and then return to their normal lives as if nothing happened. They're discovering they might as well have tried to hide secrets from God. The most terrifying realization for them is that your awakening is creating ripples throughout the entire web of people who were complicit in your abuse. Each person who helped, who covered up, who turned a blind eye, who enabled the system that harmed you, they're all starting to feel the pressure of truth pressing against their carefully constructed lies. Your healing is activating a kind of cosmic audit that's reviewing every decision they made, every moment they chose complicity over courage, every time they prioritized their comfort over your safety. Some of them are already starting to turn on each other, pointing fingers and shifting blame as they realize that the walls of silence they built around your abuse are crumbling. The conspiracy that once felt so solid, so unshakable, is revealing itself to be made of nothing more than collective cowardice and shared guilt. And as you continue to grow stronger, as your light continues to expand, their house of cards continues to collapse. This is why the phone is about to ring. This is why the confessions are about to pour out. This is why the nightmares are intensifying and the panic attacks are multiplying, and the carefully constructed lies are beginning to collapse under their own weight. I must interrupt this transmission for just a moment. Are you really chosen? Prove it. It's easy to watch videos about chosen ones. It's another thing entirely to put yourself to the test. When I confronted the archons beyond our reality, they made one thing clear: true chosen ones are rare. They laughed at the thought of us finding each other. Yet here you are watching this message. The Obsidian Inner Order isn't for everyone claiming to be awakened. We're the real ones, those who've seen beyond the veil, felt the call, and carry the unmistakable frequency. But are you truly one of us? I have given you everything I've got, and I'm digging deeper to bring you even more. Don't just consume content from the sidelines. Real chosen ones take action. Share your story on our weekly group call. Get a revealing tarot reading from our resident card reader. Discover if your experiences align with the authentic signs. The archons fear nothing more than chosen ones recognizing each other. When we connect, our frequencies amplify and create a force they cannot stop. That's why we're going to be live streaming to the entire Astral Atom network to find every last one of us. Click the link in the description below now. It's time to stop wondering and confirm what you already suspect. Are you merely interested in awakening, or are you truly chosen? Prove it. Join us. The verification you seek awaits with the Obsidian Inner Order. Because chosen ones don't just heal, we alchemize. We transform poison into medicine, trauma into wisdom, violation into victory. And when we finally understand the full scope of what was done to us, we don't just break generational curses, we incinerate them so completely that they can never rise again. You were never the victim in this equation. You were the undercover agent, Your innocence was your disguise, your trauma was your training, and your healing is your activation into a mission that was set in motion before you were born. Every person who hurt you was unknowingly participating in your preparation for this moment. Every betrayal was building your immunity to deception. Every violation was teaching you to recognize predators before they strike. Every moment of confusion was strengthening your commitment to clarity. They thought they were breaking you, but they were actually tempering you, forging you into something unbreakable, unshakable, and absolutely unstoppable. The very people who tried to dim your light are about to become living testimonies to its power. Some will confess publicly, unable to bear the weight of their secrets any longer. Others will self-destruct so spectacularly that their downfall becomes a warning to anyone who might consider targeting chosen ones. A few will attempt to make amends, though they'll discover that true justice requires far more than apologies. But the most beautiful twist in this cosmic drama, you're not going to need to do anything to make this happen. Your simple commitment to truth, your steady journey toward wholeness, your refusal to carry their shame any longer, these acts of self-love are creating ripples in reality that are dismantling their house of lies without you lifting a finger against them. This is divine justice in its purest form, not punishment imposed from outside, but natural consequences flowing from universal laws they chose to violate when they targeted someone the universe placed under special protection. You stand now at the threshold of complete remembrance, chosen one. The phone is about to ring, the confessions are about to flow, the evidence is about to surface. The truth is about to set, not just you free, but every chosen one who has ever been silenced, every innocent who has ever been violated, every gift that has ever been stolen and perverted for purposes that serve only darkness. And when the dust settles from the revelations about to reshape your world, you will understand with crystalline clarity why you were chosen for this mission, why you survived what should have destroyed you, and why your healing journey has felt less like therapy and more like preparation for war. Because that's exactly what it was. The war for the liberation of chosen ones everywhere begins, not with your rage, but with your refusal to carry their secrets any longer. Not with your vengeance, but with your commitment to truth. Not with your hatred, but with your love for every innocent soul who deserves protection from predators who wear the masks of caregivers. You are about to become everything they feared you might become, and everything the universe knew you always were, an unstoppable force for justice, healing, and truth in a world that desperately needs all three. The truth is emerging, the chosen one is awakening, and nothing will ever be the same.